The last governor is leaving. China is reclaiming Britain's last major outpost. As the colonial sun sets in one of the world's most vibrant, prosperous cities, what will the new era of Chinese rule bring? Join me, Trevor McDonald, to say farewell to Hong Kong.
Tuesday at 10:40.
Into the dark souls of serial killers comes Lieutenant Frank Black, a man with a mission before the new millennium, next tonight.
We are exploring the world of the paranormal.
The channeling of key energies. The ultimate quest of mind over matter. Investigating claims of powers and abilities we find difficult to accept. What is the human mind really capable of? Can people be cured by touch alone? Who really built the Sphinx and the pyramids? The Paranormal World of Paul McKenna, Tuesday 8:30 on Granada.
Into the unknown, now Granada with Millennium.
What is the twisted horror that drives a serial killer? One man sees what they see.
Thursday, a brand new series reveals the secrets of some of the world's most extraordinary smuggling operations. Secretly recorded surveillance video and reconstructions of real-life operations and events uncover the hidden world of Her Majesty's Customs and Excise. Undercover officers reveal the secrets of their covert operations, infiltrating the drug cartels, meeting the mafia head-on in the never-ending war against drugs and organized crime. Real-life Undercover Customs, Thursday at 8:30.
In 15 minutes, Melvin Bragg meets American novelist Paul Auster in tonight's South Bank show.
We all want to help children who are in special need. But how would you feel if your donations were lining the pockets of greedy businessmen?
If you tell the public, if you was totally honest, that you wouldn't sell as many, you know what I mean? So you've got to bend it slightly.
For the past 2 months, we've infiltrated nationwide rackets profiting from the public's generosity. We expose the people who are really getting the benefit of your charity. World in Action, this Monday at 8 on ITV.
You're watching Granada, now ITN.
From the studios of ITN, the news with Nicholas Owen.
Good evening, welcome to the programme. The headlines. Violence flares across Northern Ireland tonight after Orangeman's parade goes ahead. Police under attack as nationalists show their fury over RUC decision. And for the 4th time, Pete Sampras lifts the Wimbledon Championship. Violence has been sweeping across Northern Ireland in the aftermath of today's Orange Order parade through Portadown. Nationalist anger boiled over after the RUC decided to let the march go ahead. The march itself passed off peacefully, but rioting broke out soon afterwards. Tonight, the violence spread to Belfast, Londonderry and other towns. In one attack on an RUC patrol, a policewoman was shot and injured. Our Ireland correspondent John Irvine has been following today's events.
This evening, this scene will have been repeated in many parts of Northern Ireland. Drumcree was the spark for scenes depressingly reminiscent of a year ago when loyalists rampaged. This time, nationalist anger has boiled over. There have been hijackings and burnings in Armagh, Belfast and in Derry, the cradle of the Troubles, where tonight children have been stoning the police. In County Tyrone, a woman RUC officer was injured in the face when a shotgun was fired into her patrol car. Officers in Belfast were also shot at by the IRA, but none was hurt. The worst of the afternoon trouble was on Portadown's Garvaghey Road. Here, some residents vented their anger against the security forces. The soldier on the right here was lucky. For some time, there was a pitched battle sustained exchanges, stones for plastic bullets. Some of the residents were injured. Minutes before, the Portadown Orangemen had marched onto the Garvaghey Road. There were more than 1,000 of them parading where many people had asked them not to. Forcing them through was supposedly the lesser of two evils. Northern Ireland is still feeling the effects of last year's Drumcree riots, and although this march has taken only a few minutes to pass, it will have implications for a long time to come. It can only deepen community division. During the early hours of the morning, the RUC were sent in to clear the road, something the residents regarded as a violation. There were casualties on both sides. Some petrol bombs were thrown at the police, but the officers were well prepared. At dawn, people were forcibly removed, but the trouble went on. 14 were treated in the local hospital. Like the appeals for compromise, those for calm had not been heeded. Local politicians said the wrong decision had been taken.
It's an outrage. It's a betrayal of these people. It's a double betrayal. The decision is a betrayal. The manner it was carried out was a betrayal.
But the Chief Constable said the decision had saved lives, for he claimed the situation was being manipulated by terrorists.
And I have no doubt that on one side, paramilitary violence would have been rigged in terms of it being against the Catholic community. I have no doubt whatever about that.
In Lurgan, passengers were forced off a train by a gang of masked men who systematically petrol-bombed the carriages. The violence is now widespread, and it will stretch the security forces. But this week in July is fast becoming Northern Ireland's annual disaster. John Irvine, ITN, Belfast.
The Northern Ireland Secretary Mo Mowlam, admitting today she'd failed to broker a peaceful compromise in Portadown, said she'd met intransigence on both sides. Tonight, Sinn Féin's chief negotiator Martin McGuinness urged nationalists to take their protests to the streets. Here's our political correspondent, John Draper.
Dr Mowlam gave full backing to the Chief Constable for taking the course likely to result in the least violence.
This is an outcome that I regret and that neither he nor I wanted. What we and the vast majority of people in Northern Ireland wanted was a sensible accommodation. I've done my utmost to achieve this, as has the Chief Constable. But where there is intransigence on both sides, that becomes impossible.
Loyalists said the decision simply recognised the realities in the province.
It's impossible to govern Northern Ireland without the support of the Protestant community and the Unionist community. And Ronnie Flanagan's had to come to the stark and harsh reality that he needs the Unionists on side.
But nationalists accused the government of capitulation and denounced the police. Jerry Adams was asked if he hoped for calm.
Well, that's the question which I have to come to with some considerable concern. I don't know. We will certainly do our best. There was no calm on Garvaghey Road.
Tonight, Sinn Féin's Martin McGuinness called on nationalists to take to the streets to confront their opponents. The Irish Prime Minister's appeal for restraint. Mr Blair's monitoring developments from Downing Street. John Draper, ITN.
We go live now to our island correspondent, John Irvine. Well, John, what is the latest situation there?
Well, there have been further gun attacks on the security forces in North Belfast. 20 shots were fired at police officers and soldiers. In West Belfast, 5 or 6 high-velocity rounds have also been directed at the police. There are no reports of injuries at this stage. In Belfast and elsewhere across the province, the hijackers and the petrol bombers are out in force, and the RUC are advising motorists simply not to go into certain areas. I'm afraid it could be a long night ahead. There could also be a difficult week ahead, for it is the busiest part of the Orange marching season. And as you heard there, nationalists are also planning some demonstrations and protests.
John Irvine in Belfast, thank you. Other news now, holidaymakers may face long delays this week if a threatened strike by British Airways cabin crews goes ahead. They're planning a 3-day walkout from Wednesday in a pay dispute. BA said Heathrow flights would face most disruption. More pictures have been sent back to Earth from the Mars Pathfinder mission. They show its robot vehicle rolling out onto the surface of the planet. Its 3D images are being made available on a special page on the internet. And the Foreign Office is warning British people in Cambodia to stay off the streets after a coup in the capital Phnom Penh. Two rival political factions began fighting in the city streets after the collapse of the country's coalition government. Pete Sampras today became Wimbledon champion for the 4th time and made it look easy. His unseeded opponent, the Frenchman Cédric Pioline, was beaten in 3 straight and quick sets. Our sports correspondent Graham Miller reports from Wimbledon.
Pete Sampras wants to be the most successful player of all time. If anyone needed convincing, he's well on the way. The world #1 is in a class of his own. Cédric Pioline's challenge was demolished in 94 minutes by a man who turned on an exhibition of power tennis that took the breath away. Sampras simply raced to the title, his 4th in 5 years, finally revealing some emotion on court as he shared the moments with his girlfriend, actress Kimberly Williams. The victory means he's level with his hero Rod Laver in the number of Wimbledon wins, just 1 short of Bjorn Borg's record of 5.
I just felt that I, played really well, and I was pumped, and to hold the trophy again and look at all the names on the trophy and to see myself 4 times is something that I'll always remember.
So as the curtain comes down on Wimbledon for another year and Pete Sampras flies home with his winner's cheque of £415,000, we're left with one question. How can any current player compete with a man in that form? Graham Miller, ITN Sport, Wimbledon.
England's Test cricketers face an uphill battle tomorrow. They're chasing a target of 469 to win the 3rd Test against Australia. At close of play today, they were 130 for 5, 339 runs behind. That's it from the Weekend News team here. Good night.